All right. Happy, beautiful, amazing evening, all. Dr. Bob Rukowski here out of Houston, Texas. And tonight we're going to talk about thriving in the new economy. I'm not even sure it's new anymore because it's been going on for a while, but there's been a little shift on planet Earth. And some of us were in an absolutely fabulous position for this shift. And it's been kind of a windfall for us. And we want to share how we've thrived in the new economy by helping many others to do the same. So, first and foremost, three simple objectives for this talk. I want to make the time worthwhile. So, we're going to share good information, valuable information, and hopefully in a way that's enjoyable and easy to hear. I'm going to tell a little bit about me, but I've been in clinical practice 30 years, and I'm going to share my absolutely most effective health strategy. And then I've also studied from some of the best and wisest and wealthiest people under the planet, and we will talk about a universal wealth strategy. But we're going to start with a story because everybody loves a story, and it just happens to be my story. So there's a picture of my beautiful family. I'm married for 33 years, three beautiful children. 2 1/3 granddaughters. The third is actually due in October. In clinical practice, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I've treated world champion athletes from every major professional sport. And I've also seen people that were literally sentenced to death. And the reason I show this foot is this foot was given a death sentence. It was supposed to be amputated 2 days from the time that picture was taken. But notice how much better it was in 2 weeks and then 17 months. And by the way, what we're going to share with you is part of what rejuvenated that foot. I've taught doctors all over the world over 10,000 hours of seminars on health and healing. And I'm going to bring some of that background to you today. But you know what? I had a pretty good scare. And as I look back at it, this would have been far less scary than the scare that I had. Why? Because I like to be in the ocean, and I've seen some big fish in the ocean. I haven't been that close with a shark. But, the shark is either going to take care of you or you're going to get away and it's going to be over pretty quick. But my scare lasted a week and it was literally life threatening. So I thought I had an x-ray report. The radiologist was suggesting a bone scan. He didn't like something that he saw. If you're a doctor and you hear those words, you get concerned. And especially if it's you or a loved one, you're really concerned because they're looking at that point for metastatic cancer. Well, the great news is that I didn't have metastatic cancer, but I had 1 week from the time I got that report to when I was finally able to get a follow-up visit. And I wondered, what if if my time here is short? So as my mentors have said, if your business depends entirely upon you, guess what? Something happens to you, your business could be in big trouble. So have you ever thought about that? What if your time were running out? What would you do? Well, what I decided to do was to create something that would take care of my family long after I'm gone. And I did that effectively. So Gary Keller wrote the book called The One Thing. It's a fantastic read. Throughout the book, he asked this question again and again and again. And what is the one thing that you can do that in doing so will make everything else either easier or unnecessary? And bunches of sages of wisdom have said this: your network is your net worth. So I decided to build my network and substantially increase my net worth. And now that's a team of over 20,000 people in over 20 countries. And I can tell you that that is a wonderful feeling of security. But here's a simple question for you. What if someone said, hey, I made this special for you, or they offered you a delicious cup of coffee or tea? My guess is you would drink it, right? You'd find a way, you'd give it a shot. And if you can share a delicious beverage, you're most of your way to where you need to be to succeed in this business. The next part is, can you connect your friend that you share the beverage with to someone who knows a little more than you at this point in time about the business? If you're brand new, that's probably nearly everybody on this. And even if you've been in it for a while, there's definitely someone that knows more than you. And let me tell you the value of this. If you rely on you to get all the knowledge to build your business, it might be a while, but why not leverage the knowledge, the ability, and the skills that are already part of your team? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you can share a beverage and you can make a connection to another person, you are well on your way to success. So you can be one cup and one connection away from the next step and the next step and the next step that can essentially take you wherever you want to go. So let's talk about coffee, because coffee is one of our products. We know that the world drinks coffee. And by the way, tea is pretty close second. But here are the numbers, and let me share them with you. It's the number 2 beverage on the planet, second only to water. 64% of Americans drink coffee every single day. And by the way, they average 3.3 cups a day, and that's over 1,200 cups a year. Coffee is served in 100% of the countries of the world. It has been consumed by humans for over 1,000 years. And guess what? Its consumption increases every single year. And right now we are at 2.25 billion with a B, 2.25 billion cups every single day. That's how many cups of coffee the world drinks. So I often heard this question, what does a coffee drinker do when they run out of coffee? Well, that's a very confusing question, because coffee drinkers don't run out. They do anything to make sure that they don't run out. They are that dedicated to that beverage. So our coffee's better. Plain and simple, it's better. We have that rich, wonderful flavor. We give smooth energy, not crash and burn energy. You don't get the jitters, you don't get the crashes, you don't get the acid stomach. You do get the fat burning benefits, and there's a lot of benefits for your brain and body, some of which we'll touch on. This was an interesting article entitled 9 Reasons to Avoid Coffee. And they're pretty good reasons. It could raise your blood pressure, could cause insomnia. Caffeine withdrawal can have headache side effects. You can have acid reflux and other things like that. But we infuse a superfood or a superherb in our coffee called Ganoderma lucidum. And these little citations next to each of these numbers, like PMID colon 295-19314, what it actually shows is Ganoderma helps to lower blood pressure, and actually by 3 different mechanisms. It actually helps people fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, longer, wake up more refreshed. And we've had people that have tried our coffee and said, okay, I'm putting this to the test. I'm going to have coffee at midnight and I'll tell you what happens. Well, they usually sleep like an absolute baby. That's what happens. Perfectly safe in pregnancy, no known drug interactions, no known toxicity. Ganoderma is called the king of herbs, and that's what's in our coffee. So, there's a simple statement in business: if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't try to compete. So when people make a food or beverage choice, it's got to taste good, it's got to be convenient, it's got to be affordable, and then their 4th criteria is health. Well, our coffee is off the charts delicious. And we've got something for everybody's palate, whether you want black or latte or mocha, or whether you want smooth or you want bold, all those things we have. Ours is pre-brewed. There's a lot of advantages to that. We actually are able to pull the acid out of the coffee, which means you just add water. So you can change the strength of it at will, but you don't have to get in your car. You don't have to wait in long lines. And we're about half the price of that coffee that people go way out of their way for and wait in line for. And then ours is superfood infused. Theirs isn't. So here are the numbers on Ganoderma. And that, by the way, is a picture of what the Ganoderma plant looks like. But quite simply, 4,000 years of human health enhancement, over 1,900 peer-reviewed medical studies. Doctors and scientists have been studying this for centuries because it's called the miraculous king of herbs. And some of our customers' experiences are just that. They are miraculous. There are no known drug interactions. There is no toxicity. There's no issue with pregnancy. And guess what? The US Ganoderma market is $2.5 billion. That's with a B, billion dollars a year. So since it's a big market, we have all levels of competition. This is what most of the competition does. They grow their Ganoderma in plastic bags. This is ours, USDA certified organic, eco-cert, kosher, halal. In fact, this company has more quality certifications than any other professional nutrition company that I've lectured for in my 30 years. Now, people like Warren Buffett are going to tell you, if you look at a business, you want to look at the products, the company, the money, the support, and the timing. And here's what I can tell you. We get a 5-star rating across the board. We already mentioned our coffee and tea, which are absolutely turbocharged, and our competitive advantage is patented. We patent the process by which we pre-brew the coffee and pull the acid out, and we patent the process by which we get the nutrients from the Ganoderma. Neither of these can be copied. So here's a question for you. If our coffee is that good, if it's delicious, if it's convenient, if it's more affordable and it's off the charts healthy, would it be reasonable that 1 in 100 people would switch their brand to ours? Well, simple enough, right? If 1 in 100 coffee drinkers did change, that would be over 200 million cups a day. And the next question would be, well, how much of that market would you want? Well, I promise you, it's there for the taking. We also have shakes. Weight loss is a multi-billion-dollar a year market. I love Frank's story. He actually went and lost 100 pounds in 10 months, drinking 2 shakes a day that he said taste like liquid dessert, and then eating a sensible meal. A lot of the things he says was, I couldn't believe it. I just wasn't hungry. And then my need for medications went away and I just started feeling good and I had so much energy and I started exercising. And by the way, in the end, he actually got the girl. So it was a really good deal for him. We have an all natural, all organic skincare company that started in New Zealand over 20 years ago. It seemed to match perfectly. We said, you know what, why wouldn't people look beautiful while they're drinking their delicious beverages and getting healthy on the inside? Let's do something great on the outside. So we bought a company called BU, and that again, skincare, multiple $billion a year industry. We have luxury travel. We have partnerships with over 100,000 resort locations around the world where you get the best vacation at the guaranteed lowest price. Travel is a multi-trillion-dollar a year industry. And then how about brain health? Well, we don't know how big that market is. I think everybody has a brain. We don't always use it, but we all have one. And wouldn't we want everybody's brain to work better? So a company called NeuroTracker had a 20-year track record of creating a better brain in 90 minutes. And when they started mixing NeuroTracker with Organo, they found out, wow, Organo consumers' brains improve 130% more over those same 90 minutes. And now they've come out with their Cognition Energy drink, a beautiful apple kiwi flavor, smooth, delicious, wonderful, with lots of synergists where people feel a difference in their brain in their very first cup. Now think about this, right? How many people do you think would want a better brain, better body, more beautiful skin, and luxury travel for the lowest price? Again, 1 in 100 is not much of a goal there. And in my experience, it's much higher than that. But even at that percentage, you could build a massive business. So our products are all A+. Our markets are billions and trillions combined. And then here's our company. In their 12th year. Now that itself is a milestone. If a company starts tomorrow, there's only a 4% chance that it'll still be around in 10 years. This company's claim to fame, Organo, was that they crossed $1 billion in sales within their first 5 years. So that was faster than Apple, faster than Facebook, faster than Microsoft, faster than McDonald's. And Organo did it without a single storefront or a single dollar spent on advertising. Paul Caldwell has taken numerous companies to high levels of success, and he calls Organo the crown jewel of his investment portfolio. And he says, we will be a multi-billion-dollar per year company. And he's got the brains and track record to make it happen. I love John Harimza. This is one of your classic rags to riches stories. 30 years ago, he was earning $9 an hour. He was dyslexic. He said he was too shy to even look someone in the face. But he was introduced to this business model, network marketing. And since then, he's earned $27 million. But he's also a real straight shooter. People ask, how much money can I earn? He says, look, anywhere from zero to a whole bunch. It's all up to you. How will you apply yourself? What will you learn? Who will you meet? All of that matters. So a few stories for you. A young couple was actually threatened with eviction. My son talked to them and he was talking about the business. And, this young man said, look, I'm in a really bad spot right now. We're about to be evicted tomorrow. And Jacob looked at me and he said, look, why don't we try this? Pull out your phone, literally call everybody you know, tell them what's going on, tell them you're about to be kicked out on the street, ask them if they'll help you out and buy a box of coffee or tea. Well, this gentleman earned $750 in 4 hours. Very, very possible with this business. I absolutely love and appreciate Diane Solano. When I talked to her about 6 years ago, she was kind of feeling like this, right? She became a new mom, but she was about to become a single mom, and Diane wasn't prepared for that. She was a world-class nutritionist, but she took 3 years off to take care of her son and let her nutrition practice go to zero. So she was at one of my seminars. She said, Dr. Bob, here's the good news. I'm a mom, but here's the bad news. I've been out of practice 3 years. I need to get back on my feet fast. Do you have any suggestions? And I asked her, I said, well, Diane, what do you think is easier, getting a new nutrition patient or sharing a cup of coffee or tea with a friend? And she laughed. She asked, is that a serious question? I said, it is. She said, well, obviously sharing a cup of coffee or tea. I said, well, let me share one with you. She fell in love with the product. Her first experience was amazing. And she said, you know what, Bob, if you're in, I'm in. And she's in, she's all in. And now she's creating an empire where she and Dylan travel the world and swim with dolphins and, go to Bali and wherever they want when the world opens up. And Emily Moore, a real fun story as well, and very personal to me as well. She was a patient of one of my colleagues, and she was having a real significant health crisis. She was 40 pounds overweight. She was jaundiced and nothing was working. And this doctor said, look, call my friend, Dr. Bob. I had Emily do a program that included a lot of Ganoderma. And within months, she bounced back from it being in a very bad state to what you see on the right. And by the way, over the last 10 months of 2020, she built a multi-million-dollar a year business just with Instagram posts. That's what can be done with social media. And if you want to talk about really big money, Holton Buggs with Organo earned $68 million in 8 years. He liked it so much, he decided to start his own network marketing company. And Organo said, thanks a bunch. You've been awesome. We wish you very well. But that is what's possible in this business. Now, it's said that millionaires have many sources of income. And if you look at all those, income is probably the hardest. You're going to trade time for money. But what about royalty income? Do the work once, get paid way more than once. And we already talked about coffee, 3.3 cups a day times 365 days a year. Do the work once, get paid 1,200 times every year. So I want you to think about that. Some people I introduced to this coffee 9 years ago, now I got paid 1,200 times the first year, 1,200 times the second year, 1,200 times the third year. And guess what? They're still drinking the coffee. And that's what can happen with this. So we know if you start a new company, your chances of success are low, but if you partner with a successful company, the risks are dramatically reduced. So Organo literally does all of the legal and compliance and research and development and production and logistics and shipping and receiving. They even have customer service and, they do the accounting and all those other things. And if they're doing all that, well, what do they need us for? Well, they need us to be the marketing arm. So here's what I tell people are the skills to master. We need to be able to share the products, and ours are easy enough to share. Hey, let me share a cup of coffee with you. I did that with Diane 6 years ago, and her team has done many, many, many millions of dollars of sales, created a lot of health, created a lot of health. Then we share the opportunity, and that's part of what we're doing here. We're telling you about the product, we're telling you about the company, we're telling you about the leadership, we're telling you about the industry, we're telling you about the money. And then you help people get better at 1 and 2. So now we have multiple Zooms every single week. There's plenty of opportunities to see what we do. We also have multiple Facebook groups. And these are some of the strategies of the most successful people in this business. So we have a Miracle of Organo customer group. If someone wants to know about our product, add them to that group and they can look around and see some amazing information. If they're interested in the business, we have Why Organo. And if they want to be part of our Organo family, well, we call that OG family worldwide. When we talk about timing, could you imagine better timing? First and foremost, it's always the right time for coffee or tea. But how about the world's healthiest coffee and tea? And how about at a time where people are more interested in health and more interested in wealth, maybe than they ever have been in the history of the planet? And when we look at the profit potential, here's what can happen. You invite, let's say, 10 friends to the next viewing next week, and they say, oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense. I want in. Well, now you've got 10. Well, what happens when they get their 10? It grows to 100, then to 1,000, then to 10,000. Some professional networkers can do this in a matter of months. Me, it took a handful of years, but I promise you, whether it's slow or whether it's fast, 10,000 people in your business, in your team, making the world better is wonderfully profitable. So what does it cost? $49.95 to join, and then you want to get some products. And then the company has accelerator packs. We call them good, better, or best, bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze, you get about $250 worth of a variety of product, and you get paid more than if you just pay the membership and get products. Now, a silver pack, that's $500 worth of product. You get paid 1.5 times what you would the rate of the bronze pack. A gold pack, you get paid twice as much in even more ways, and that's about $1,200 US of products. Jim Rohn is one of my great mentors. You know, he was a college dropout in the 1960s and actually became a multi-millionaire in this business model. And when he would wrap up a presentation like this, he would ask these 4 questions. He called them questions to ponder. So here they are. The first question is why? Why did you take the time to join us tonight? There's so many things you could be doing. The second question is the answer to the first. Why not? Why not learn about something that literally you can get healthier with every sip and wealthier with every share? Third question is why not you? Someone's going to say, this makes perfect sense. I'm all in. Let's build. And then the final question is why not now? And Jim Rohn talked about the law of diminishing intent. And here's what he said. The longer you wait to act on information, the least likely you are to act on it. So the call to action is easy. Whoever invited you to this Zoom, get back to them and let them know, I'm ready to create health. I'm ready to create wealth. I'm ready for all of the above. And I like to sign off with this. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.